REMARKETER. Empowering Realtors.
Good morning. Thank you very much for joining me today. So my discussion today is going to be on one of the probably the most unique functions of REMARKETER, that is the Instant CMA. So the reason why I wanted to talk about this feature today, even though we've talked about this function many times before, is that I really want to stress on the fact that how this function is different from the traditional concept of CMA that you do use in your business, and when and how to use and interpret the data that's provided in it. The Instant CMA is unique. I haven't seen any other similar platform that would provide the same type of service. It's AI based, and it's really advanced, and it's one of the tools that you have available to you that probably no other agent does. And it's important for you to use this to your benefit, and really use this tool to provide a different level of service to your clients. Now, for you to be able to do that, you first need to understand what it is, what the information that are provided in the Instant CMA represent, how to interpret them, and how to utilize that to best serve your clients. It's a little bit different. It is a CMA, comparative market analysis. So basically what it does is that it provides you with a set of information that allow you to analyze the market based on comparable properties. That's what it does. So it is a CMA, but it's not a CMA report that you would manually build for a specific intention. Right. So it generates content, it generates data for you that would allow you to analyze the market instantaneously. So the difference is that firstly is that it's instantaneous. So it provides the information to you at right when you need it. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Where would you need that information? And once that occasion happens, go ahead and use this tool to then be able to provide such an analysis on the market that you wouldn't be able to provide otherwise. You basically, other agents aren't going to be able to do the same as you would do for your clients. So it's for your eyes, for your clients' eyes as well, only if you know how to interpret the content that's available in the CMA. Now, before we begin, let me just do a little summarization here. So when you generate your own CMAs, and you've all done this and you're used to it, and there are a ton of tools available out there that you go ahead and draw a circle in the market, and it pops up a bunch of properties, recently sold properties, and you go through each individual one of them and you compare the different aspects of the properties, and you select the ones that would make sense for you to include in a report as comparable properties, right? So that's you doing the math, that's you doing the work. It takes quite a while for you to build that and go through every individual property, especially when you have a lot of different choices and the aspects of the properties that you find aren't really that close. So you're going to be able to do that on your own, but the difference is the angle, the point of view. What you're doing here is that you are deliberately looking for certain aspects of a property that makes sense for the transaction that you're about to make. So basically the transaction could be a sale. So you're using the CMA to generate price, to predict price, or to suggest an asking price, basically. Or you're doing a CMA to place an offer. So you want to find what would be the best price to include in the offer that you want to do excuse me, to purchase the property, basically. So for each one of them, you have some I'm going to call it a bias, because you have to consider the intention that you're about to use the report for, as well as the client that you need. So that on its own, it's its own tool, and you will use it as well. But the instant CMA is going to give you unbiased information, something that is not generated based on the fact that you want the price to be lower, or you want the price to be higher, or you want your property to be the best available in the market, or you want this property to have lowballed competitors in the market. So these are the different biases that come into play when you are representing a buyer or seller. But the instant CMA will give you an unbiased view so that you can really analyze the market. Plus, this is a really good starting point for you to be able to do your traditional CMA as well. So you can start off with an instant CMA, find the properties that would make sense for you fast, and then do your traditional CMA as well. So these are, what I wanted to set as a context. And now we're going to go ahead and take a look at a few examples together. So I'll go through the different a couple of different examples, 3 different examples, if you want to say, and then we'll go through the CMA as if we were going to really analyze the market and want to explain the market to our client, for instance. All right, so there are several different occasions where you can do an instant CMA. The instant CMA is available right down here under Business Tools, the CMA module right there. You can click on it. There are 2 ways that you can generate a CMA, and I will demonstrate both for you. Either enter an MLS number or the address of the property to generate a CMA. So both of these options are available for different purposes, and I'll tell you why. All right, so a traditional CMA, as I mentioned, was good for setting a price when you want to do a listing presentation, for instance, a suggested price, for example, an asking price, or if you want to come to conclusions for an offer that you want to place. Now, for each of these 2 occasions, you usually spend some time. You have already funneled down your properties. You have already found the property that you want to place an offer for, and then you do the CMA for that specific property. Now, the good thing about an instant CMA is that you could generate CMAs 50 times a day. It doesn't really stop you anywhere, and you can generate CMAs for any property that you lay your eyes on. So that's the beauty of it. So you can just go around and throw CMAs at any property that you like, and that's what you should be using this. So one of the greatest use cases for the instant CMA, and I want you to remember this, and I want you to start using this, is that you could generate a CMA for every showing that you go to. So every property that you're showing to your client, you might be showing, 20 different properties, 30 different properties to your client during the process that they're looking for their perfect property. You could do CMAs at the doorstep for each one of them. So as soon as you want to enter a property, you have a CMA to talk about as well. So that is one beautiful use case that no other agent really does. So you go and look at the properties. You don't really know what you're looking at. You're just looking at the quality of the property, and is it a good fit for the client or not? And then after viewing 30 different properties, you might do CMAs for 3 of them, not knowing that you might have missed a lot of different opportunities because you haven't really compared any of the other properties that you've seen with the market. So you're only looking at the kitchen and the bathroom and the floors and the backyard and stuff, rather than looking at the actual opportunity that the property might represent. So that's one important use case for you to remember. The second thing is that from the other side of the table for selling, if you're door knocking and you're knocking on, let's say, 20 different doors today, you can do CMAs for every individual one of those 20 properties as well. So that's the beauty of having an instant CMA. So you can do CMAs all the time for any property that you really want to evaluate in the market. So that is the use case of an instant CMA. All right. Now, if you want to be a lot more specific, and you really want to build the case for an asking price for a property that you are already representing, that's a different story. You could still start off with the Instant CMA, and you can get a lot of information and insight from an Instant CMA, but then you're going to do your work as a real estate agent to really funnel down the conclusion to the conclusion that you want to get. So this is very important. The first thing that you need to know before we get into this is that you need to shift your perspective, right? So we're not doing a general traditional CMA. Rather, we're doing an instant CMA. The objective is for me to see an unbiased set of information that I can then interpret and come to certain conclusions instantaneously. So let's get to it. Now, I have selected 3 different properties in Vaughan in the same neighborhood, and I want to do CMAs for these properties. These are just properties that are listed on the market, and I want to do CMA. So the first way that we're going to do is that the first use case that we're going to consider here is that, let's say I'm taking my client to showings for these 3 different properties, right? So I have a property here listed for $1.8 million. I have another one, 1.9 almost million dollars, and then I have a $1.5 million property here as well. So I have 3 properties very close to each other, and I can go ahead and generate CMAs for these. So we're going to showings, and for each one of these showings, I'm going to pull up certain information. All right, so let's start from this property right here. Because this is an active property, easier way for me is to just simply use the property ID. So I'm just going to copy the MLS number of the property, and I will go to the CMA module on my system. So you can have a tablet. You can even do these CMAs, in 10 minutes before you get out of the house and have them printed and available with you. But I'll show you how you can do that as well. So here's what I'll do. I'll just put in the MLS number and click generate. And within seconds, you have a CMA. Right? Okay, so let's look at this property again. It's a beautiful property. It's really nice, well built, really good qualities and everything. And now we're going to do our CMA for that property. All right. So the first thing that you realize here is the transaction history. I'll come back to the time adjusted estimate. I'll explain to you exactly how this is calculated, and you would know what that is. So, but first, let's take a look at the transactions history here. So you can see that the property is on the market for $1.84 million. Now, immediately you can see that the property had been leased, basically put on lease on May 22nd, and it was terminated. So probably the property wasn't able to lease. And $2,000 seems that a basement was probably put into lease. So these are, the information that you would understand as a realtor, and be able to explain to the client, or do your own analysis like this. But what catches my eye here is that it was purchased in September 2021. So 2 years ago, it was purchased at $1.63 million. Right. So after 5 days on the market, it was sold. So it was listed at 1.6 and it sold for over asking price. Now the property is on the market for 1.8399. Okay. Now, let me explain to you what this time adjusted estimate is. So you can see that the properties, was owned less than 2 years, and probably there could be some, the owner could be under some stress with regards to the payments. They tried to lease out the basement. They couldn't, and they terminated it. and now it's on the market. So, you can kind of understand what's going on by reading between the lines here. And that's an interesting story to know before you walk into this property. Now, the time adjusted estimate is not an AI based property valuation or something like that. What it does is that it actually has a sophisticated algorithm which puts into calculation all the fluctuations to the benchmark pricing in that specific neighborhood for that specific type of a property. So we're talking about a detached property within that specific neighborhood, what the fluctuations were since the last sale. So since this sale back in 2021. So it considered all the market fluctuations, whether the prices went up for 3 months and then went down for 6 months and then went back up for another 3 months and then stayed stale for another 4 months and stuff. So it takes all the numbers from that date of a sale and applies those fluctuations to this sale price right here. All right. So the first thing that you should understand is that the first thing that you should consider here is that was this sale price uh, a benchmark price, a fair price, or was it way over asking, or was it way below asking, right? So that plays a role here. There could have been a multiple bidding war uh, as a result of which the property was purchased at at a price that's much higher than what the value of the price, what the valuation of the property would have been at the time. So you need to consider these things. But if this seems like a fair price back in 2021, which I think it does kind of, it's not too far away. It's not like it's listed 1.6 million and then it's sold for I don't know, $2 million, 400,000 over asking. It's not like one of those crazy sales that has happened. The other thing that you need to consider is that the state of the property should be the same as what it was during the last sale. So let's say purchased this property. It was a tore down property at $1 million back in 2021. And then I renovated it and it's a brand new property now worth $1 million more. So that again changes things. So what we're looking at right here is that if the same property was purchased in 2021 at this price and we apply all the fluctuations in the market to this price, we will come to $1.6 million. That's the time adjusted estimate. It's a time adjusted. So it adjusts this price based on time. So if we travel back in time with the same conditions, this would be the price that we would be looking at right now, today, based on the fluctuations. So that's the first thing that you need to understand. So I've talked to many people who have really been misusing this price. It's not a suggested purchase price. It's not a suggested listing price. It's a time adjusted price. So you need to understand what this is and consider that. So because this might be off depending on the status of the market, depending on the status of the property. All of that needs to be taken into consideration. So this is just that price traveling over time to today. That's what it is. All right. Now, we will take that as a benchmark. We will take this as a piece of my information, and then we're going to carry on to see more information here. So we have seen that the past transactions were back in 2005, which is way before, and therefore I'm not gonna bother considering these and what was happening back there. But this part of the information is interesting. Now, when we go further down, we're looking at the average of sale price of the detached properties in the vicinity of 1 kilometers around this specific property. And we can see that 4 other properties have sold in the last 30 days. and the average sale price was $1.4 million. All right, so what story does that tell me? It's an interesting story. This property is listed at 1.84, so way more than the average sale price of the other detached properties in the 1 kilometer neighborhood here. All right. Now we're looking at an average DOM of 10 and the average sale price to list price of 97%. So this is also telling me that the properties aren't going for way more than asking percent. So they're going less than the asking uh, prices, just a little bit below. So the average sold price 1.4 is way below the asking price here. What does that tell me? Competition is fierce for this property. There tends to be cheaper detached properties available in the neighborhood. Now, we still need to compare, still need to see what's going on. Maybe this is a much more, much better renovated property, and these are the things that we would consider. But right off the bat, I'm looking at a property that is the outlier. This is the property that's the one that's more expensive than everybody else. You know that rule in real estate. If you're the one who's the most expensive one from, compared to the rest of the neighborhood, you're going to sit in the market. If you're the one who's the cheapest one compared to the rest of the neighborhood, either you're selling cheap or you're going to be the one that's going to, sell first. So this could be the condition, the situation for this property that we're looking at here. Apart from that, we can see some benchmark pricing trends here as well for detached properties in this neighborhood. As I mentioned, we're looking at this specific neighborhood here. This information is only available for the GTA at the time. And if you're looking at a property that's not in the GTA, you won't have this line right here. So if for properties that are in the GTA, we have that information available, and it's explained, shown to you as well. So 1 year price change for detached properties in this neighborhood has been negative. So the prices are going down in this neighborhood for detached properties, at least. 3-year price change was 41% more. And then we have a 5-year price change, and then we have a 10-year price change as well. So that's, the information that we have available for these in terms of HPI benchmark prices as well. I'm not going to get into the definition of HPI benchmark prices, but these can show you some trends relevant to the same type of property in the same neighborhood, as you can see right here. All right, now let's move down to the exciting part. This is where we can actually see some comparable properties. So we have this property right here listed at $1.8 million. And then we have 4 comparable properties right there, which you can see that have sold. This one was listed at 1.4, sold for 1.4. This one was listed at 1.65, sold for 1.53, considerably less than what it was asking. This one, 1.5, sold for 1.495. 1.488, 1.435. So you can see what's going on pretty much in the market. Now, a double car garage I can see here. Immediately from the looks of the pictures, I would say that this probably would be the best comparable, but still, we can go ahead and look at the other aspects of the property as well. So for instance, you could look at the lot frontage. We're looking at 40 feet, 42, 45, 43, 32. So this one might be much smaller, but the rest, these 3, look the same. And this one is even larger in terms of the lot frontage, but it's not as deep as this one is. So this one is a little bit deeper there. We're looking at the number of bedrooms here. We have 4-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom. So the first thing that comes into mind is this 3-bedroom a comparable property to this 4-bedroom property that we have right here? Now, this is what you wouldn't consider. You wouldn't even look at this property when you're doing your own traditional CMA because your filter is set on 4 bedrooms. Now, this system gives you the option, but let me get you there. But it displays the facts beforehand to you. You can filter this property out, but you can look at it before you filter it out. That's the beauty of it. You see the possibilities in the market, and then you're going to be able to judge based on the possibilities there. Now, would this be competing with this property if it was on the market? It depends on the buyer's perspective, right? So if the buyers are in the market for detached properties and all they need is 3 bedrooms, and then if we have a 4 bedroom property available for sale, are those 3 bedroom properties going to compete with my 4 bedroom property? You bet they are, because if those 3 bedroom properties are considerably cheaper than my 4 bedroom property, buyers are going to consider those properties over mine, right? Because they make a big difference right there. Now, if I have a 5 bedroom property and there's a ton of 4 bedroom properties out there that are considerably cheaper than I am, it's going to make it hard for me to sell because most of the families are looking for 4 bedrooms. An extra bedroom is a luxury to them. So they might consider my property if it comes at the right price. But if it's not, all those properties are going to make my sale a much, much harder sale out there. So these properties, even though they wouldn't be considered as a comparable in a traditional CMA, they do compete with each other. Every property, a condo competes with a townhouse competes with a detached, and a semi-detached competes with a townhouse as well, because these are all options in the eyes of the buyers, right? The difference is that, where in the structure of the comparison am I sitting? If my 4 bedroom is more expensive than this 3 bedroom, is it enough, or is it too little, or is it too much? Is this really going to pose a threat to me or not? Are there so many other 3 bedrooms available out there that are super nice compared to my almost torn down 4 bedroom? So these are all the different scenarios that could make a whole lot of difference in the eyes of the buyers, and therefore they are competing. However, if you don't want to see this and you come to a conclusion that, the 3 bedroom doesn't really compete here, you can go back up here and you have some filters that you can switch on and off. So for instance, I can switch on the bedroom, and I'm telling to the system that I want the number of bedrooms to match. Now, if I go down again, you can see that I only have 4 bedrooms available. So now I'm only looking at 4 bedroom properties, and I can see that there are more probable comparables right here. You can look at the other aspects of the property as well. So for example, you can also filter out the style. So if you're looking at a 2-story and you might have let's say a side split or a back split here included in the comparables as well, you might want to filter that out and say, okay, I just want to look at 2 stories. But again, remember, a back split 4 bedroom is a direct competitor to your 2-story 4 bedroom. It's a very easy decision for a buyer to go and purchase that back split property if it's cheap enough compared to your property, which is a 2-story. So you have to consider these facts, that it's important for you to consider all the aspects in the market. And that's the beauty of the Instant CMA. You have everything available in front of your eyes, so you can really see what's going on in the market, and you can compare your 2-story with back splits, your 4 bedroom with even 3 or 5 bedroom properties out there. So you can really see if a 5 bedroom property sold for 1.8, my 4 bedroom property might not be able to sell at that price. So these are the different things that you will see here that you might not see otherwise, because there you're filtering out all the other possibilities for the buyers out there before you do your CMA. So it's good for you to start off with your instant CMA right here. Now we have the story, and if you know how to read through the information that's available here, you can have a nice story to tell your clients here as well. So now I have all the 4 bedrooms here, and I can see that the prices here are all around 1.54 whatever. The only one that was listed at $1.9 million, and that sold in May 2023 for $1.7 million, is this one right there. Okay, so it's almost the same size, 39 by 99. This one is 40 by 140, 4 bedroom, 2 garages, pretty much the same thing, but this one is a little bit bigger. So let's take a look at the pictures here. You can click on the MLS number right here, and the listing sheet appears. You can click on the pictures here, and you can view the pictures in detail as well. So you can really compare the property. So you can look at the looks of the property as well. So far, the stories that I have been hearing and seeing here is that at 1.8 something, I might have a hard time selling this property. It could be difficult to sell the property at that price, considering the fact that, comparable properties are selling at much less. We're looking at 1.5 here. Let's take a look at this property there. All right. Okay. So that property is better, but this is also renovated there as well. So again, we're looking at the different options here. Now, the next section provides me with competing properties. So the competing properties are the ones that are on the market right now, and they're competing with me. That's an important aspect to look at as well. So what are the other options right now on the market? So I can see that all the other options in the market right now are cheaper than me. So basically this property, in fact, is the most expensive one in the 1 kilometer ratio that we have. And we're looking at only 4 bedrooms here. Now, another thing that you can do is that if you want to see more of this, you can also increase the radius here. So we're looking at a 1 kilometer radius here. Let's go ahead and change that boundary here as well. So let's go ahead and change that to 1.5 kilometers. So if I change the 1 kilometer to 1.5 kilometers, now I have 7 sold properties, and the average price is now 2.2. So now I have more expensive properties within my bucket, and I can go down and I can see that I now have 4 currently listed properties that can compete with this property. Yet again, they're all less expensive than what I have. All right. And then finally, we have the most recent sold properties on the same street. And this one is an interesting one as well, because these are all the neighbors. So imagine you're sitting right there in the car in front of the property, and you're reviewing this CMA, the instant CMA, and you know that you're looking at 143 Monterey Road, and then we can say that, okay, 170 sold for this in 2022, 32 sold for that in 2022, 143 sold for this amount in 2021, so on and so forth. So I know all the neighbors, who sold when and for how much. And this can also give me some insight into the expectation of the owner here. So if the owner knows that my neighbor across the street was able to sell for 1.755, that's probably my bottom line. I'm not going to sell less than that unless I have to, right? So these kind of provide me with insight and information that I can look into the psychology of the seller. I can look into the competition. I can look into the comparables. It's not just looking at what has sold in the market to come up with a good price. It's also looking at what is competing with my property right now in the market. How much more am I going to sit in the market? And would I have to pull out the property? How much offers am I going to get for this property? How much competition me as a buyer representative is going to face with other buyers looking at this property? So these are all the information that this instant CMA is putting in front of me right there when I need it. And that is the beauty of the instant CMA. And obviously you have the schools and schools ranking and information available, and you can always go ahead and click on the generate full PDF report, which is going to give you a printable version that you can print and take along with you if you don't want to do this on your tablet, for instance, right? So that is one example that we went through, and that you can kind of see where we are at right now. So you know the how to switch between the different aspects of comparison here, how to read through the transaction history, what the time adjusted estimate is, how this information can help you understand where in the hierarchy of the properties available in that immediate market this property is located, comparables, competing, and the neighbors. So we have pretty much everything available at our hand within seconds that can give you some interesting insight. So this is to generate insight, not to go to conclusions. Your story is what's going to get your client to a conclusion there. And that's what I mean by not missing an opportunity, because you might walk into this property and not like, it's not the best kitchen. So you say, okay, forget about this one. Let's go and, take a look at another property with our client. So this is going to be, waived right off the bat because it's just not the perfect kitchen, right? But if you had done the CMA and you would have found out that this property is priced really competitively, then who cares about the kitchen? I can redo the kitchen. It's just $20,000. So let's buy this property and redo the kitchen the way I like it, right? So that's an opportunity that has been missed because the kitchen wasn't perfect, but the price was perfect. That's what we need to know. And we need to know instantaneously. We need to know it right there before we go in and hate the kitchen and walk out. That's what I'm talking about. This tool can really help you and your clients land opportunities like no other agent can provide out there. All right. Now, I want to do two more examples for you as well. And then I've got quite a few questions. Hang in there. I'm going to answer every single one of them. Don't worry about it. So let me just go ahead and do a quick CMA again for this property right here. It's just one thing that I want to show you here. Oops. All right. I'll just put the MLS number in there and generate the CMA. Now, this one hasn't been in the market lately. So this is the first time that the property has been listed on MLS, and the transaction history shows just that. So it's just one transaction, and that is the current one. The property is on the market for sale in July of 2023, and nothing else before that, right? So that's why I don't have a previous sale based on which we can calculate the time adjusted price. And that's why you don't have a time adjusted price right here. So you can do the rest of the analysis based on what you have, right? So now let's see, we have a property listed at $1.9 million. And then we're looking at different properties. And let's imagine that you come to a conclusion that let's say, one of the properties are, could be a good comparable here. And you want to do the CMA. Well, basically, you want to find out more information about this property that's not available, for instance, past transactions. And you can do that by the comparable. So let's imagine that this is the comparable that I like, and I think that this is a good comparable property. So what I'll do now, I'll just take this MLS number, I'll go back to the CMA, and I'll do the CMA for that one right there, right? So if I don't have enough information about property A, but I find property B that's got uh, basically the same features as property A, I could do the CMA for property B. And that's going to give me the same level of information that I would need, comparables, competing, and then the properties on the street. This usually comes in handy when you want to do a property a CMA, an instant CMA for a property that hasn't been on the market. So let's say you're door knocking and you want to do a CMA for, let's say, let's try one of these. 47 Avdel Avenue, right? So let's just take this. I'm going to give you another insight now. Let's do the CMA. Okay, so this time I don't have an MLS number, I have an address, right? So I want to do this for, let's say, 49 Avdil. And the way that it works is that give it a little time. Okay, so we the system was able to find the 49 Abdul Avenue in the database. So I'm looking at a property that has been in the market before, and therefore the system was able to locate it. So the key here is this. Let's start this again. Firstly, you would decide whether the property is a residential or a condo. So this case, it's a residential. And put in the unit number if the unit number applies. So you might be looking at a freehold townhouse that would be classified as under residential, and then it has a unit number. Unit number is not the same as street number. So this is the street address. So for 49 what I'll do is that I just start typing in and I take my time. I wait. I allow the system to do its search. I don't copy and paste the entire address and just drop it in there, because the system has to find the exact address. And the way that the listing agent had added the address in the MLS system could be different from what Google provides you, right? So give it time. I've just typed in AVDE and waited, and I can see that the property is there. So if I find it, great. I'm going to generate the CMA, and now I can see what was going on with this property that I'm, knocking on the door right now. So I can see that it was for sale back in 2002, and it expired. It didn't sell, right? So interesting. Now I know that the property was on sale. So the owner tried to sell this back in 2002. It expired, didn't sell, and hasn't been selling until now. So what a great information to have before I knock on this door, right? So I know that there has been an intention of sale before, and now, so instead of spending 2 hours the night before doing that, I could just do this while having coffee on the morning of going out and knocking on these doors right there. I have a lot more information, so I can immediately tell the homeowner, if I have the opportunity to talk to them, that, within 1 kilometer of your property in the past 30 days, 5 properties have sold, and the average sale price is $2 million. So that's a healthy number. We can probably look at listing your property for you. You had an intention to sell in 2002. Why not today, 21 years later? So we can even see comparables, we can see competing properties, etc. Obviously, you'd have to consider the and you can even tell them that your neighbor here sold for $1.6 million in August 2023. That other neighbor sold for $2 million in July 2023. Why don't you want to sit down and talk about it? So what a great set of information to have available just before talking to the homeowner out there. Obviously, these are not definite numbers. That's the tool that provides you with some level of information that can really be useful during your conversation. Now, let's do another one. Let's go back to the CMA. This time, I'll so let's say 141 Avdel. Wait, all right. So you see, the system wasn't able to find. I don't even know if there's a 141. But let's imagine there is a 141 Avdel property. So that's not the case. I'm not going to be able to do the CMA for that specific property because it has never been listed on MLS in the past 14 years that we have the data for in the GTA. So if that's the case, your best shot would be to do the CMA for another property. So let's just do 49, which we did right now. All right, I'm going to generate the CMA again. So just another property that we can do the CMA for. I don't care. It's on the same street. I'll just scroll down here and I find the property that seems like the one that I'm looking at right now. And that is 136 Avdil. So now I'm going to do the CMA for this one. It's a neighboring property, similar to mine, similar to the one that I'm door knocking right now, similar to the one that I'm presenting right now. And I can do the CMA for this property that's similar to mine. It's on the same street, same type, same size, looks pretty similar. So this CMA would be the same, almost the same as what the outcome of a CMA for the property that hasn't been listed before would be. So now we can talk about that. So let's imagine your property is similar to your neighbor's property. This is the CMA to your neighbor's property. So that's probably the situation that we would be in if we were to list the property now. So let's go ahead and talk now, right? So we can talk about all the different things that we learned today, and we can look at all the competition, and we can look at everything else, and we can decide for the best suitable price based on all the other information that you have as a realtor as well about the neighborhood. All right. Okay. Let me stop here and get to the questions, and probably through these, well, by the time that we get through the questions, we would have, answered a few more aspects of the system as well. So, all right, so the first comment is from Adrian. Thanks for joining us. The story in your example could also be that they put a basement apartment, tried to rent, then sold. Exactly. So see, this is exactly what I want you guys to, the way that I want you guys to think about this, because, when you look at the information, you will definitely be able to see the bigger picture. What has been going on, right? So they tried to rent, then decided to sell. They tried to rent a basement, then tried to sell. These are all the different scenarios that we can even go ahead and ask, right? But when the information is presented, we see the intents before, we see the number of attempts that they've done. We can kind of see what's going on, and we can have a better story out there. So this could also be an important factor for your buyer as well. So if the intention of your buyer is to rent the basement after they purchased, this information can also be a flag, because the person that's owning right now wasn't able to rent this property at $2,000 per month. So something to consider maybe, right? So exactly what Adrian has mentioned here is that, looking at the picture, every one of you, based on your, you're going to be right there in the property, and you're going to have a much better understanding of what's going on compared to me sitting behind a computer screen only. But exactly, you will come up with a story. You will, there would be a few different alternatives, and you're going to be able to easily read between the lines out there. So the HPI is available on a property of listed in ESSA. Could it be because TREP has data now? HPI data, exactly. So that's where we have the HPI data, and we get that from TREP. So you got it perfectly. So that's exactly how we work these numbers out. And that's that's what's happened here. So because they now have the HPI information from Simco, that's why this information popped up for your property out there as well. So thank you, Adrian, for mentioning that. Now, the next comment is from Farshid. Thank you, Farshid. It would be nice if the CMA system can pull the square footage from property line. Realtor floor area report. Square footage is one of the top 5 criteria in pricing. Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. The information that we have is from the data feeds. It's not from MPAC. So that's the first thing to consider. You do have access to MPAC in your systems. We don't. So this platform is built on MLS data, not MPAC. So that would be a cross-reference that you can do afterwards. However, what we have here is the once you click on the link here, you have all the MLS data that's available here. So you even have it here. You don't have to, so we have the size here. This one hasn't been put in, but this one is 2,500 to 3,000, 2,500 to 3,000, 2,500 to 3,000. So you can see that the sizes here are pretty much the same, even though for these 3 at least, but even though some more important factors, some other important factors are quite different. So for example, this one here has got 3 garages compared to this one, or this one here is 59 and 49 compared to 42. So smaller lot size right there. So this is all about the building size, but you're right. But unfortunately, we don't have access to MPAC, and that's why it's different. It's not as specific as it is right there. But this is all for a quick reference and for you to be able to see what the big picture is and tell the story to your client. And then obviously when you really want to sit down and do the pricing, that's what it is. So in fact, what Farshid is saying here is an interesting comment. You're door knocking and you have this information and you're talking with the client. And one of the things is that you can say is that, okay, so this is the big picture. These are the approximations. Now I have access to much more information, such as MPAC, and I can be a lot more specific. Now let's talk. Invite me in, write a contract, let me represent you, and now I can give you a lot more than I could give you in 2 minutes, right? That's the whole story right there. So thank you for that, Farshid. Your next comment is on the same fact here. So if you're looking at 1,800 square feet, 4-bedroom, that's different from 3,200. That would be your exact comments to a client, to a potential client that you're talking to. So looking at these numbers, your 3,200 square feet, 4-bedroom, it would be different from anything else. So, but I have access to that information. But for me to be able to disclose that information, we need to have a better relationship, maybe a cup of coffee, right? So that's exactly where you would be taking this to. So I mentioned at the beginning of my session here as well that we're using this tool as a starting point for a much more specific pricing strategy, for instance, as you are depicting here. So that's exactly what's going to happen right after. And I'm just going to skip your next comment, and I really want to have this here. Thank you so much. This is really heartwarming. So I'm really happy to see that you like the CMA. And thank you for mentioning that. I totally forgot to mention that. Make sure you download the REMARKETER app. For that, go to remarketer.ca and scroll down, and you can see the link to the app right here. And you have the CMA available on there as well. Let me see if I can pull it up. There it is. It's called REMARKETER on the Go. So search for that, and you're going to be able to see the the app, which now includes an instant CMA as well. And you can do your instant CMAs on the phone as well. All right. Um, Okay, so Anastasia, thank you for your comment. Can you do a listing presentation CMA? So, as I mentioned at the beginning, this is not a listing presentation CMA. This is an instant CMA. So, if you want to do a listing presentation, you could do 10 of these CMAs for different properties in the area and then have that included in your listing presentation. And then you can do a much more specific CMA with the information, the type of information that Farshid, for instance, mentioned earlier as well, for that specific property. So this could be a good starting point. It could be a good tool for you. So, I mean, if during your conversation in your listing presentation, you want to do a CMA for another property and you want to see, kind of consider some of the comments that the seller is telling you right there in the meeting, you can just pull out your phone and do a quick CMA, an instant CMA for the neighboring property and have some facts available to you. So it's a great tool to have within the in the listing presentation. But this CMA, I mean, you could do a better job it could be your starting point for the listing presentation CMA, but you could also, make it a little bit more polished, if you want to say, for a listing presentation. Mobashir, yes, good morning. This session is recorded, and you could definitely look at it later under Academy. So go back to the Academy module right there, and you have all the previous sessions recorded right there. And certainly this presentation is going to be available there as well. The next question is from Sanaz. Good morning, Sanaz. And yes, I just demonstrated that. So hopefully you were able to catch it. Go to App Store or Google Play and search for Remarketer on the go, and you're going to be able to download the app. So the app provides you with multiple functions, including the CMA as well. All right. Great. So I think I got all the questions. Thank you very much for your time. It's now 2 minutes to the 1 hour threshold. So I'm going to stop the talking here. I think we covered pretty much everything. So I'd just like to stress on the fact, again, that this is a great tool. It's a unique tool. Other realtors don't have it. So advertise the fact that you have access to this tool and use it as much as possible. And it provides you with a lot of insight. The only thing that you need to know and consider every time that you use this information is that this tool is designed to just provide you with the facts, and then you could take it from there. It's up to you to read between the lines here. It's a great starting point for your traditional CMA. It's a great tool to have during your viewings. It's a great tool to have during your door knocking sessions, and it's a great tool to have in your pocket whenever you need to have a quick search for similar properties to any property. You see a property on sale and you really want to see what's going on in the immediate market. A few seconds later, you have all the information that you need to have available to you. So keep sending us your suggestions. If you have any questions, please get in touch with us, and I'll be more than happy to we'd be more than happy to assist you with any inquiries that you may have. Have a great day ahead of you. Enjoy the rest of the week, and I will see you again next week, same time, same place. Have a good one.